me take you somewhere deeper for a moment, not just a place, but a feeling. Imagine you're standing at the edge of time itself. The sun is setting, the world feels still, and you hear a whisper. A whisper not from outside, but from within. It asks you, what if there's a water that never lets you die? What if there's a servant of God who walks this earth beyond the grip of time, not bound by age, not confined by space, guiding, watching, teaching those chosen by the Almighty? Now hold on to that whisper, because tonight we're not just talking about history. We're not just diving into a legend. We're opening the pages of something eternal. We're stepping into a mystery that stretches across the Quran, across the deserts of time, deep into the heart of faith. Aab-e-hayat. Hazrat Khizar, the unseen, the eternal, the guide in the dark. This isn't fiction. This isn't myth. This divine reality cloaked in wisdom. And I promise you, by the time we're done, your heart will not only be stirred, it will be searching for that water. Not to live forever in this world, but to live right in the sight of Allah. So stay with me. Every second of this message is for the seeker in you. Let's go. In Islamic tradition, aab-e-hayat, the water of life, isn't just some ancient myth. It's a symbol, a sign, a secret of divine reality that reminds mankind life and death are in the hands of Allah alone. It represents immortality, but not in the way people crave today. Not for fame, not for ego, not for escaping age. Aab-e-hayat is the life that is eternal in service, eternal in purpose, and eternal in submission to the will of Allah. And when we speak of this water, we cannot separate it from the figure of Hazrat Khizar, عليه السلام, the mysterious, timeless servant of Allah. Hazrat Khizar is not just a man in the pages of a story. He is a living reminder that knowledge of the divine goes far beyond what our eyes can see and what our minds can grasp. In Surah Al-Kahf, Allah gives us a glimpse of his meeting with Prophet Musa alayhi salam, a meeting that wasn't just a journey of travel, but a journey of humility. Even a prophet, a mighty messenger, was told, there is someone who knows something you do not, and that someone was Hazrat Khizar. This moment is powerful. Why? Because it teaches every believer that knowledge is not about arrogance. It's not about collecting facts. It's about surrender. Hazrat Khizar showed Prophet Musa events that seemed wrong, even unjust, breaking a boat, killing a boy, rebuilding a wall without payment. But each act had a reason far deeper than the surface. Allah was working through Khizar. The world judges from the outside, but Allah knows the inside. That's a life-changing lesson. And what about aab-e-hayat? According to some Islamic scholars and narrations, Hazrat Khizar drank from this water. That's why he continues to live. But understand this, it's not about living forever in this world. It's about living with a purpose that continues through time. Hazrat Khizar, by Allah's will, is believed to appear to those in deep distress or to righteous servants in need of guidance. Not everyone sees him, only those Allah chooses. That alone should humble us. Aab-e-hayat is not something you find with maps. It's something the soul seeks when it's thirsty for the truth. Hazrat Khizar is not someone you meet with your eyes. You meet him with your sincerity. If you want to understand their reality, you must walk the path of trust, of tahakkul, of submission to Allah's unseen wisdom. That's the only way to see what others don't. This reality, it isn't fantasy, it's divine truth. And in every corner of that truth is a message for us to trust, to learn, and to never be arrogant in the face of Allah's infinite knowledge. There are mysteries in this world that are not meant to scare us, they're meant to awaken us. Aab-e-hayat, the water of life, is not just a mythical concept, it's a symbol of Allah's mercy and the eternal nature of divine wisdom. And the one most often connected to it is a figure who exists in the shadows of time. Hazrat Khizar alayhi salam, the servant of Allah, who lives by his command, hidden from the eyes of this world, yet fully present in the purpose of divine destiny. When we talk about Hazrat Khizar, we're not just talking about a man, we're talking about a walking lesson from Allah. In Surah Al-Kahf, Allah gave us a story that stops every listener in their tracks. The story of Musa alayhi salam meeting a man who didn't look like a prophet, didn't act like a prophet, but was given a knowledge directly from Allah. A knowledge so deep, so hidden that even a mighty prophet like Musa had to submit and follow. Hazrat Khizar wasn't teaching knowledge from books. He was teaching knowledge from the unseen, from the divine command. He did what seemed unjust, unfair, and even cruel, but every action had a hidden mercy behind it. The boat he broke, saved from a tyrant. The boy he killed, saved his parents from future grief. The wall he rebuilt for free, protected treasure for orphans. That's not just a story, it's a revelation of how limited human judgment is. We judge by the surface, but Allah works from the depth. Now comes the mystery of aab-e-hayat. It is said that Hazrat Khizar was granted the honor of drinking from it, not to boast, not to show power, but because Allah had chosen him to serve a purpose that continues across generations. He became a symbol of divine presence in the world, even when the prophets had passed. A hidden wali of Allah, guiding, protecting, appearing to the lost, the desperate, and the chosen. Not to make headlines, but to fulfill divine missions. Aab-e-hayat, in its spiritual sense, represents the kind of life that is not bound by the ticking of a clock. It's life through obedience, through divine closeness, and Hazrat Khizar is a reflection of that life, one that is spent entirely in submission. He does not seek fame, he does not walk around announcing who he is. He moves by Allah's permission, speaks when told, appears only when there is a wisdom to fulfill. And what does this mean for us? It means true life. The aab-e-hayat our souls are thirsting for is in the remembrance of Allah, in trusting his decisions and walking humbly in his path. You and I may never see Hazrat Khizar. We may never taste aab-e-hayat with our tongues, but if we submit to the will of Allah, if we surrender our hearts, we may experience that eternal life in our spirit. This is not about fantasy, this is about awakening, about realizing that the world is deeper than what we see, that Allah has servants moving in silence, executing his will. And if you trust that, then you're already drinking from the cup of truth. Imagine a journey that doesn't start with a destination on a map, but a calling from the soul. That's the journey of every believer who seeks the truth, who seeks the hidden, who seeks to understand the mysteries Allah has kept from the eyes of this world, but revealed in the verses of the Quran. Among those mysteries is the tale of aab-e-hayat, the water of life, and the extraordinary figure known as Hazrat Khizar alayhi el-salam. This is not just a story, this is a spiritual reality wrapped in divine wisdom. When Prophet Musa alayhi salam, one of the greatest messengers of Allah, was told there existed someone who knew more about certain divine secrets, he humbled himself and went in search. That's your first lesson right there. Even the most knowledgeable must be humbled before the unknown wisdom of Allah. Musa didn't argue, he didn't boast. He said, I will not stop until I reach the junction of the two seas or continue for a long period. That's what we call commitment to the search for truth. Hazrat Khizar wasn't a typical teacher. He was a servant of Allah who had been granted special knowledge, not just academic, not just prophetic, but divinely inspired knowledge of Allah's plan as it unfolds behind the curtain. He didn't explain things up front. He didn't speak to satisfy curiosity. He acted in alignment with Allah's command, and only later would Musa understand the meaning behind those actions. The lesson? Divine knowledge isn't always immediate. Understanding Allah's plan sometimes comes after patience, trust, and obedience. Now let's go deeper into the essence of Hazrat Khizar and the aab-e-hayat. According to narrations, Hazrat Khizar drank from the water of life, symbolic of a soul forever sustained by divine mercy and wisdom. He is said to live until the day of judgment, appearing only when Allah wills, guiding those who are lost, answering the cries of the desperate, protecting the chosen. He's not bound by geography or time. He's bound only by the command of the Almighty. This isn't about fiction. This is about understanding how close Allah's mercy is, closer than we often believe. Hazrat Khizar's presence reminds us that no one is ever truly alone on their path. There are forces, There are servants, and there is mercy walking this earth. Quiet, hidden, but powerful. The aab-e-hayat is not just about physical immortality. It's about being alive in a way that the world can't take from you. It's about being spiritually awake, connected directly to the will of Allah. Think about that. Isn't that what we all want? A life that doesn't break with loss, a soul that doesn't weaken in trials, a faith that stays alive no matter how much the world tries to crush it. That's what Hazrat Khizar represents. That's what aab-e-hayat symbolizes. So the next time you feel like giving up, remember, Allah has placed His guidance in the world in ways you may never understand. But if you keep walking in obedience, if you keep seeking the truth, then maybe, just maybe, you're already drinking from the spring of eternal wisdom. And that, my brothers and sisters, is a life worth living. Let me take you to a place beyond the ordinary, a place where the rivers of time pause for the chosen ones, a place that cannot be seen with the eyes of flesh, but only through the heart awakened by faith. That's where the mystery of aab-e-hayat and the secret presence of Hazrat Khizar al-Islam resides. This is not just ancient storytelling. This is divine depth wrapped in symbols, guidance, and spiritual truth. When people hear about aab-e-hayat, the water of life, they often imagine some magical spring hidden deep in a forgotten jungle or a distant cave. But the believer knows better. We know that what the world calls myth, the Quran sometimes presents as a hidden sign. Aab-e-hayat isn't just about eternal life in the body. It's about the soul drinking from the fountain of divine purpose and knowledge, a life that serves the command of Allah endlessly, selflessly, and silently. Hazrat Khizar al-Salam was not a prophet in the traditional sense. He was a servant of Allah who was gifted something extraordinary, laduni, divine knowledge from Allah Himself. This knowledge wasn't written in books or taught in classrooms. It was poured into his heart directly by the will of the Almighty. That's why even the great Prophet Musa ﷺ was told to go and learn from him. Now pause for a moment. Imagine being so spiritually elevated that a prophet is sent to learn from you. What does that tell you? It tells you that the world isn't limited to what's visible. There are people walking this earth, maybe even near you, who carry light, mercy, and knowledge that can shift the direction of your life if Allah wills it. The journey of Hazrat Musa to meet Hazrat Khizar is in Surah Al-Kahf, and it's not just a story, it's a blueprint for every seeker, because just like Musa, we too are students of life. And sometimes the answers we seek don't come logically, they come through tests, they come through patience, and they come through trust in the one who sees beyond the veil. Hazrat Khizar's actions, damaging a boat, killing a young boy, and fixing a wall in a hostile village, seemed unfair at first. But every act was aligned with Allah's mercy and justice. He was protecting the innocent, preserving the future, and honoring the faith of the righteous. That's what divine wisdom looks like. It sees tomorrow when you're stuck in today. And what about the aab-e-hayat? Whether you believe it exists in the physical world or not, its real meaning is in the one who lives every moment for Allah, unaffected by the decay of time. Hazrat Khizar, through Allah's permission, moves through the world unseen, helping, guiding, watching, yet never taking credit, never seeking fame. That's the mark of true servitude. So ask yourself, what are you living for? Because if your purpose is clear, your faith is strong, and your heart stays thirsty for the truth, then maybe you're closer to that spring than you ever imagined. And when you walk with sincerity and humility, Allah might just send you your own Khizar. Not to change your path, but to awaken you to the one Allah always meant for you. That's the real secret. And that's what makes this journey beautiful. Imagine a man who walks between the layers of time, a man who drinks not from the wells of the earth, but from the cup of eternity. That man is Hazrat Khizar al-Islam, and that cup, that is aab-e-hayat, the water of life. This is not some myth to entertain or some fantasy to escape reality. This is a spiritual symbol wrapped in deep truth that holds meaning for those who search beyond the surface. Now let's go deeper. The story of Hazrat Khizar, عليه السلام, and aab-e-hayat has been told for centuries, and yet it remains alive because it's not just about a hidden spring somewhere on earth. It's about a divine connection. A connection so real, so sacred, that Allah Himself allows a man to drink from it and live beyond time. Hazrat Khizar isn't bound by the clock. He isn't aging like you and me. His presence is not about spectacle. It's about silent service, quiet power, hidden mercy. And that should stir your soul. You see, in a world where people chase fame, wealth, likes, followers, Hazrat Khizar remains unknown yet unforgettable, unseen yet ever present in the hearts of the faithful. He is not a prophet, but he is a chosen one. He doesn't seek the stage, but he walks with the permission of the King of Kings. That's why he's the one who taught Prophet Musa alayhi salam, not through speeches or lectures, but through actions, through wisdom that contradicted logic, yet revealed divine purpose. The damage to the boat, the death of the boy, the repair of the wall, each of these moves confused Muslim alayhi salam, but Khizar knew what Muslim did not, because Allah had shown him the inner layers of destiny, the truths beneath the surface. And that's where aab-e-hayat comes in. Because to drink from that source is not just about living longer, it's about living with meaning. It's about knowing your mission and fulfilling it without needing recognition. That's what real life is. Not the breathing kind, but the believing kind. The kind of life where your heartbeat syncs with divine purpose. Hazrat Khizar, عليه السلام, walks this earth still, as many great scholars have believed. His job isn't to make headlines. His job is to be there when Allah sends him, to guide, to protect, to whisper wisdom into the hearts of those who are lost but seeking. And he does this not because he's chasing heaven, no. He's already tasted a drop from the fountain of truth, and that changed everything. So what about you? Every one of us is looking for our own aha-ibit. We want a life that doesn't waste away in regrets. We want a purpose that lives beyond our years. But the secret is, it's not out there in some hidden cave. It starts within. It begins when you walk humbly with Allah, when you seek knowledge, when you trust His plan even when it makes no sense. Hazrat Khizar shows us that not everything is supposed to make sense in the moment, but if it comes from Allah, it has wisdom beyond your imagination. So be patient, be trusting, and keep your heart open, because who knows, your Khizar might already be on the way. And when he finds you, you'll know, because everything in your life will shift, from confusion to clarity, from fear to faith. That's the legacy of aab-e-hayat. That's the spirit of Hazrat Khizar. Some stories are told to entertain, some are told to teach, but then there are those stories that awaken something deep inside your soul. Stories like that of aab-e-hayat and Hazrat Khizar al-Salam. This isn't just a tale of an eternal spring or a man who lives forever. No, this is a divine message, a sign, a whisper from the unseen that speaks straight to the heart of a believer. Hazrat Khizar al-Salam is not mentioned by name in the Quran, but his presence echoes powerfully in Surah Al-Kahf, a mysterious figure who holds knowledge directly from Allah. Knowledge that even Prophet Musa alayhi salam, one of the greatest prophets, was not given until he walked alongside him. That alone tells you Hazrat Khizar was chosen. And those who are chosen carry secrets not for pride, but for purpose. Aab-e-hayat isn't merely a substance. It's a symbol. It represents the kind of life that doesn't decay. It represents divine sustenance that goes beyond food and drink. It's the kind of life given to those whose mission on this earth is not yet complete. Allah gave Hazrat Khizar that life, not because he asked for it, but because his role demanded it. This is where it gets real. We live in a time where people want everything instantly: knowledge, comfort, recognition, success. But the story of Hazrat Khizar teaches us something different. It teaches that the greatest journeys begin in silence, that true wisdom is often hidden, that Allah's plan is not always explained, but it is always perfect, and that sometimes you won't understand why the boat had to break, why the child had to die, or why the wall had to stand. But trust, there's a purpose behind every command. Hazrat Khizar didn't need the spotlight. He didn't need praise. His legacy isn't carved on monuments, it's etched in the fabric of Allah's divine will. He moved quietly, yet his footsteps echo through time. He lived out his purpose with humility, obedience, and an understanding that this world, this temporary place, is not the end. It's only the bridge. So when you hear about aab-e-hayat, don't just imagine a mythical fountain hidden in the earth. Imagine the life Allah grants to those He chooses for extraordinary missions. And know that true eternity doesn't begin with drinking from a stream. It begins with surrendering to the will of Allah. You and I, we might not drink from aab-e-hayat, but we can drink from the well of guidance. We can live a life that reflects submission, trust, and service. And when that happens, we too touch something eternal, something divine. Hazrat Khizar, عليه, السلام, reminds us that the world we see is only part of the story. The real truth, the deep truth is hidden, but it's there for the one who seeks, for the one who trusts, for the one who believes. So ask yourself, am I just existing or am I living with purpose? Because that's the difference. And in that difference lies the secret of Baha'i. And now, my friend, we come to the heart of it all. After everything we've uncovered, the mystery, the divine guidance, the symbolism, there's one final truth that must settle into your soul. The story of Hazrat Khizar السلام and aab-e-hayat is not just history. It is a call, a reminder, a living lesson written not just for prophets, but for you, for me, for every soul walking this earth in search of meaning. Hazrat Khizar wasn't just given a long life to wander without purpose. He was a servant on divine assignment. His existence wasn't for fame or worldly power. He was chosen to carry knowledge, to serve silently, to remind even the mightiest of messengers, like Musa عليه, that Allah's knowledge is infinite and layered, that some truths are not told but shown, that sometimes the answers you seek are not what you expect but exactly what you need. That is divine wisdom. And then there's the water, aab-e-hayat. What a symbol it is. We think of it as something mythical, something unattainable, but perhaps we've misunderstood it. Perhaps aab-e-hayat was never just a stream hidden in the folds of the earth. Perhaps it's a metaphor, a message that those who walk with truth, who walk with submission to Allah, who accept hardship and mystery with trust, those are the ones who drink the real water of life, the ones who live beyond the physical, who become part of a divine echo that continues long after the body rests. You see, Allah gives life and He gives purpose to that life. Hazrat Khizar's long life wasn't a reward, it was a responsibility, a burden of trust, a mission. And that's something every believer should understand. You don't have to live forever to be eternal in the sight of Allah. You just have to live with sincerity, with obedience, with humility. Because real eternity starts when your soul is aligned with the will of your Creator. So what's your mission? What's your purpose in this dunya? Don't just chase the stories of the past. Learn from them. Let them awaken something deep in you. Let them challenge the way you think. Let them push you to ask yourself, am I living a life worth remembering? Or am I just passing through, unaware of the deeper meaning behind my every moment? Hazrat Khizar عليه walked in the unseen, but his lessons remain clear. Trust Allah's plan, accept His timing, believe that what's hidden from you is known by Him, and know deep in your soul that if you live for Allah, if you submit to His will, if you walk with humility and faith, then even without drinking from aab-e-hayat, you will taste the sweetness of eternity. That right there is the real secret. And that, my friend, is your invitation